He's a deviant, and he plays with dark magic. These are facts. And you always see these people who have these meteoric rises. Nobody's giving them, nobody's backing them. They just like they did it from the ground up. And the trade-off with that is you have to perpetuate darkness.
Everyone assumed the scandal was over the moment Sean Combs was taken into federal custody and the courtroom doors shut. But the story has started shifting again. Recently, prison records quietly changed and the timeline towards release suddenly began moving faster. Within the last few hours, sources noticed a subtle update in the Bureau of Prison System, showing a projected release date as April 25th, 2028, more than a month earlier than previously listed. That small adjustment has sparked new speculation, suggesting something may have changed behind the scenes. Combs is currently serving a 50-month federal sentence following a 7-week trial connected allegations involving transportation for paid encounters tied to the so-called freak-offs. Prosecutors had pushed for a sentence of more than 11 years, but the final ruling was significantly lighter. He is now housed in a low-security facility in New Jersey, where he reportedly works in the Chapel Library.
If anyone, I'm happy to go. So we think that's just absolutely inconsistent with the jury's verdict. I mean, the jury's verdict was resoundingly clear. There was no trafficking, there was no racketeering, everything was consensual, everything was adult, which is why he was convicted only of the offense. What we feel happened today was that the judge acted as a 13th juror, yes, one that we did not choose, and that he second-guessed the jury's.
Participates in rehabilitation programs that could reduce his sentence by up to a year. Still, the shifting release date has raised eyebrows. Inside the prison system, when a timeline suddenly moves like that, it usually means there's a very specific reason, one that people on the inside already understand. The official explanation appears straightforward. According to updated records from the Federal Bureau of Prisons, Sean Combs is now projected to be released on April 25th, 2028, which is more than 5 weeks earlier than the date that had been circulating just a few months ago. The update quietly appeared in the federal inmate database, the same system journalists regularly check when monitoring high-profile cases. Inside the prison system, adjustments like this usually pass without much attention. Release dates often change as paperwork is processed, credits are calculated, or administrative reviews are completed. But this particular case rarely moves without attracting notice. After his sentencing in October, Combs was transferred.
Constitutional. We think that a jury verdict should mean more than our jury's verdict seems to mean, and so we are planning to appeal.
FCI Fort Dix. Not long after his arrival, the projected timeline around his sentence began shifting. Initially, the system listed May 8th, 2028 as the expected release date. Later, it moved forward to June 4th. Then, unexpectedly, the date shifted again, this time back to April. Each revision forces observers to recalculate what might be happening behind the scenes. On paper, these updates can look routine. Yet for people closely tracking the case, the repeated changes feel unusual, almost like a clock that keeps being reset from somewhere inside the system. At the center of this shifting timeline is a sentence that already puzzled many people who followed the courtroom proceedings. Prosecutors had argued for a punishment exceeding 11 years, saying the alleged pattern of exploitation connected to Combs' private gatherings warranted a strong federal penalty. Instead, the court delivered a sentence of 50 months. Even that figure carried built-in flexibility. Once credit for time already spent in custody was applied, the remaining period effectively
2 months?
4 years, 2 months in prison.
Wow.
He served a year. He gets some time. He gets 15% credit, so he'd be at 14-ish.
2.5 years.
2 months. So, and then he gets another 15% in the remaining.
Yeah.
He's out in 2 years.
Yeah. Should have stuck with the original guess.
I know. Yeah.
Dropped closer to 3 years, along with the prison term. The ruling also included a $500,000 fine and 5 years of supervised release after incarceration. Still, the prison time quickly became the central focus of public discussion. During the sentencing hearing, Sean Combs addressed the courtroom directly. He apologized to former partners and people connected to his past life, describing his previous behavior as disgusting, shameful, and sick. Those words spread rapidly through media headlines, reinforcing a narrative that seemed straightforward, a once dominant music figure acknowledging wrongdoing while facing the consequences. Yet the numbers behind the punishment continued to raise questions. When a sentence already lands well below what federal prosecutors requested, and then the projected release date begins shortening through internal adjustments, observers start to reconsider whether the ultimate consequences match the seriousness that was argued in court. Inside FCI Fort Dix, the official narrative presents a man focused on rebuilding his life.
Diddy, obviously just starting out his time, well, not just starting out, but starting out his official sentence since being sentenced not too long ago. And I think suffice to say, it's not going well so far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got 4 years and change that he's going to ultimately have to serve, although he has served already a year as he awaited his trial and then went through his trial.
Reports indicate that Sean Combs spends part of his time working in the prison chapel library, organizing books and helping with basic administrative duties. His legal team had strongly advocated for placement at this particular facility during sentencing. One reason was its relative closeness to family members, while another involved the programs available there that are designed to support rehabilitation. Among those programs, one attracts the most attention: the Residential Drug Abuse Program, often referred to as RDAP, within the federal prison system. Successful completion of this intensive treatment program can lead up to 1 year being deducted from an inmate sentence. Defense attorneys across the United States are very familiar with how this mechanism works. For many inmates, RDAP becomes one of the most effective ways to shorten time in custody without needing to win an appeal in court. Statements released through representatives say Combs now spends his daily routine reading, writing, exercising, and taking part in counseling sessions that focus on sobriety and personal responsibility. To the public, the message appears simple: prison can change people. Supporters repeat this idea frequently, arguing that the experience has pushed them toward reflection. On paper, it fits neatly into the broader narrative of rehabilitation that the correctional system aims to highlight. But the narrative begins to shift the moment different accounts from inside FCI Fort Dix start circulating. One report claims that Sean Combs was found with fermented drink made from Fanta, sugar, and apples, a type of improvised alcohol sometimes created inside prisons when inmates experiment with available food supplies. According to sources, staff initially considered transferring him to another unit as a disciplinary measure before ultimately reversing that plan. The rumor gained attention because it seemed to contradict something Combs had told the court only weeks earlier. In a letter to the judge, he stated that he had become sober for the first time in 25 years, writing that the person he once was had effectively disappeared during incarceration. His words, "The old me faded in jail and a new version of me was reborn," quickly circulated across media coverage as a symbol of personal transformation. Then the story about the homemade mixture appeared, quietly complicating that narrative. Inside prison systems, contradictions often spread faster than official explanations. Guards hear fragments of information, inmates repeat them, and people on the outside begin wondering whether the redemption story is entirely organic or something carefully shaped for public perception. Another perspective came from Sebastian Telfair, who completed his own federal sentence at the same facility. After leaving Fort Dix, Telfair spoke publicly about what he observed during his time there. According to him, Combs appeared relatively comfortable adapting to prison life. Telfair described the music executive as holding it down and maintaining good spirits while navigating the environment. The comment quickly spread through entertainment media, adding another dimension to the picture. Supporters interpreted the remark